The Mid-American Stock Car Series will visit one of the most legendary, famous ovals in the history of auto racing. Welcome to the Milwaukee Mile, just outside of Milwaukee. It's actually in West Allis, Wisconsin. It's 1 mile of asphalt that dates all the way back to 1903. And since 1903, they've held a race here every single year since. In fact, our own Rick Tackman Jr. has had a family history here going back to at least the 1930s. Rick has been in this series for a long time, and his family's been in racing forever.
My great-great-grandfather actually raced horse sulkies, horse and buggies here in the 30s. So my family history goes a ways back at this racetrack. I grew up watching races here. My heroes raced here and won here. This is our Daytona 500 to like the NASCAR guys. This is our biggest race of the year, and it's very important that we come here as local racers. This is something a lot of guys aren't going to get to run a track this big ever again.
This place is awesome. You know, growing up here, you know, my dad used to bring us to the races all the time. Never thought I'd be able to race here. But put a car together and ran. I love it here. It's fun. I wish we'd race a few more venues like this. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of them around anymore. So, you know, try to take the most advantage of what you can at this facility. And hopefully, if you can pull out a win here, that's a big one on your career.
Everybody wants to pull out a win here, and I tell you, that is not an exaggeration. Let's talk about that just a little bit while we take a look at the starting grid for the Howie Lettow Memorial Independence 30 here today. If you put your name on the winners list at the Milwaukee Mile, do you know the people that are alongside your name, like A.J. Foyt, Al Unser Jr., Bobby Unser, Mario Andretti? Everybody, all of the greats in the history of American racing have raced and succeeded here at the Milwaukee Mile. So we've got a group of guys here who really want to be able to etch their names in history. And you know what? We've got a big starting field out here, too. They're showing off just a little bit, lining up 4 wide as they go through turn 1, getting ready to go through some of the parade laps. But a 29-car field all the way back to row 14. We did have one scratch, so it looks like a 28-car field at the end of the day. So that's how things shake out. And we're going to keep an eye on a number of keys to the race here today. Now, think with me about this. First of all, take a look at the car count. 28 cars, we talked about that just a moment ago. That's a lot of very heavy traffic. Traffic could play into this as a factor for the leaders late in the show. It's a green track. It's rained out here constantly for 2 days, and it's washed all of the rubber off the track. So it's a green racetrack, and 450 horsepower is not a lot of horses to get around a 1 mile oval, so you better choose the right gear. We'll take you on board with a Bochette Timepieces onboard camera with a bunch of guys today. We'll start the race with Rick Tackman Jr. in the 74. We're coming down for the green flag. The green flies, and Brian Holtz in that blue number 38B will drop the hammer and lead the field down the front stretch and into turn 1. Let's see if he can hold off Marv Flick and the rest of the guys. That is also the number 3 car of Ron Vandermeer on the outside. And the 10 car, that's Bobby Gutnick. Now, Bobby ran into this race and just accidentally won the thing by default when the leader dropped out here a few years ago, so he's already etched his name in the lore of the Milwaukee Mile. So watch out for the 10 car. He'll undoubtedly win another one, but I am amazed at how low the 38B of Brian Holtz is coming out of these corners. Especially in turn number 4, there is a lot more racetrack available than what he's using. Now let's jump on board with Rick Tackman, trying to get around the outside of the number 32. That is Lyle Nowak, and we've got a great chance to watch these guys go side by side down the backstretch and into turn 3. Nowak will take the position, and now Tackman will try the low side and puts the car sideways. When you get halfway through turn 4 here, you can just drop the hammer. Now, turn 2 pinches you a little bit. We'll talk about this throughout the race, but how you drive this track is you really have to feather the throttle, just like the 38 of Brian Holtz is right here. See how high you get out of turn 2, a lot higher than he gets out of turn 4. That's a pinch out of turn number 2. 4 is a lot easier. You have a lot more real estate available. Holtz is commanding the field. Marv Flick is in second. Rick Corso is in third. And Bobby Gutnick has dropped to 4th at Milwaukee. Welcome back to the Milwaukee Mile, easily the fastest race course all year on the schedule for the Mid-American Stock Car Series. These guys hit every bit of 140, almost pushing $1.50 on the straightaways. You're looking at the 38B of Brian Holtz. He's now getting just a little bit of a challenge from the 90, that is Marv Flick, and also the 10 car of Bobby Gutnick. You get halfway through the corner, right about this point right here. You can put the accelerator all the way down on the floor and drift it wide off this corner. But as again, we've observed earlier in the broadcast, we don't see a lot of real estate out of turn 4 being chewed up by the leader. Let's jump on board with Lyle Nowak now in the bright yellow number 32. He has had a tough year, and it was even worse at the last race when coming home from the event, they had a car accident.
We were driving home in our toter home and trailer, and our good friend that was driving the motorhome started choking and basically went unconscious. And we had already gone down into the center median, and the general came back up out of the ditch and we were back up on the road, but it instantly made a right turn and we went across the 2 lanes that we had just crossed and went down into the right side ditch. The trailer sheared off the back of the motorhome and we went down hard into the ditch and then flipped over. We got out, and I mean, we're bumps and bruises, but it's a miracle we're okay. A lot of people from the Mid-Am Series called when they found out that we had our misfortune, and we had 4 teams to offer us a truck and trailer and anything we needed, and that's what makes racing in the Mid-Am Series so special to Marcy and I, because everybody comes to help, especially when you're having some of your worst moments. People come to your aid, and it's been a long 2 weeks, but getting back to the track, being amongst family and friends, and getting back racing is probably some of the best medicine we can have.
And we are delighted to see Lyle and his whole family back with the Mid-American Stock Car Racing crew, because we were concerned about him. I mean, that was a tough time they went through. Back out front, Marv Flick in the black number 90 is putting some of the first serious pressure that Brian Holtz has seen all day. Now you see them looking at 2 different lines here. The 38 car tries the high side, and Marv Flick is going to try it on the low side, and the back end gets loose, and he's not going to be able to make the pass. Now the 27 car is also in this. That's driven by Don Wood. He'll come into 3rd place, and once again we see the 38 of Brian Holtz trying the high side, and you know, that's really high. That is really, he is a full 3 grooves out of the bottom of this racetrack, and he's making it work. That car seems to work high, low, or any place else he wants to drive it. Meanwhile, Wood in the 27 car is just getting a whole pack of guys right behind him. 2 and 3 wide for 4th and 5th position right now. So we've got some excellent racing all through the field. Now we're on board with Rick Tackman. He's coming up on the 27 car, and you can see how his car is a little bit loose. He drifts high between 3 and 4, catches the back end of the car, and then comes hard off turn number 4 and tries the low line once again. So he really almost diamonds, as we say in racing, turns 3 and 4. There's a look at the 42 car. That is Eric Buchholz, and he is working real hard to get into the top 5 and working on a 4th position right now. And look at the 54 of Mark Pleuer. Now, Mark is an amazing story. We saw him just for a moment on the right side of that onboard camera, and he has moved all the way into the top 5. Mark Pleuer has already posted wins in the Mid-American Stock Car Series this year, and he is a guy to keep an eye on. He is working on 3rd position right now. So sooner or later, Brian Holtz may end up with his hands full. He better watch his rearview mirror. Let's look at these cars a bit more closely now. The Mid-American stock cars are based on GM metric chassis. Now, we're going to find out a little bit more of what that means and how much horsepower we're talking about with Olivia.
I am standing in front of an elite sportsman stock car. Now, some of you might not be familiar with what kind of car that is, so I want to give you a little bit of an introduction. This is really a driver's car, and there's a couple reasons for that. The first reason is because underneath every one of these hoods, you've got a V8 engine putting out 450 horsepower. Well, you come down here and you realize that they've got Hoosier tires with only an 8-inch contact patch. That is not a lot of tire to go with a whole lot of power. So what's the result? Well, the result is that your front tires are getting faster and faster while your back end is coming loose on you. That can be extremely challenging, but it can also be a lot of fun for experienced drivers. So like I said, it really makes it a driver's car.
Thanks, Olivia. It's time for us to take a quick break. Let's run down the field for you very quickly. Bobby Gutnick still making a really hard charge, followed by Eric Buchholz and Mark Pleuer, all putting the pressure on Brian Holtz. Welcome back. It's been a fun one so far. The Milwaukee Mile, a very busy place right now with the Mid-American Stock Car Series, the 6th stop on the 2013 Tour, and it's been a good one so far, but Brian Holtz has kind of spoiled the show for everybody. We've had incredible racing from second all the way back through 10th, but Brian Holtz in the 38B has just been out in front of everybody, and he seems to be lengthening his lead right now. Now, Mark Pleuer has made a very good charge. We've seen Don Wood in the 27 put on some pressure, and also the 10 of Bobby Gutnick is there as well. And here comes Mark Pleuer taking over second place. And now Brian is going to have his mirrors full for the first time since the green flag flew to start the race here at Milwaukee. And he goes to the high side, gets up on the marbles, and I think something's wrong with that race car. The 38 is going to fall off the pace. Mark Pleuer is going to take the lead, and that is the first lead change we've seen in the Independence 30, and now trouble on the backstretch. Big trouble. The 27 of Don Wood is involved. The 74 of Rick Tackman. And the blue car all the way down against the inside wall is Brian Holtz, your former leader, after having led since the get-go. That has to be a crushing blow. Holtz is probably out of this race, and he definitely had some kind of a problem. There's some damage on the front bumper of the 74 car. Let's watch it all in real time right here. The 74, Rick Tackman Jr., simply had nowhere to go. He tried to check up because the 38 had something go wrong with that race car and really slowed down quite a bit. Now let's go on board with Rick Tackman and watch it again. It is a miracle that Tackman Jr. was able to hang on to that race car on the backstretch. What you're seeing, folks, is a crash here happening at 140, 150 miles an hour, and the 27 car lifts that right rear wheel and just about goes over. So Don Wood, subbing for Travis Rodewald in this race, does a fine job hanging on to it. Now here is Ryan Gutnick in the 01 car on pit road. He has problems, obviously, at the front of the machine. They're pouring water over the radiator, and that can only spell one thing. Olivia is down in the pits.
Basically just Ryan had an overheating issue. His car was running over 280, so we brought him in, dumped some water on it, trying to cool him down a little bit for now. We just have him out there right now just to pull some laps.
You think he's going to be okay?
We hope he's going to be all right. We're just hoping that engine stays together.
Well, he's revving it, and the reason you do that, you rev that in low gear, and that makes the water pump turn a little bit quicker and makes that fan turn a little better, too, if you're running a fan on your car. So that's why Ryan is revving that engine as we go back to green. Now, let's jump on board with Rick Tackman. He's on the outside of the 38 car. Now, that is the other 38 of Jeff Holtz, the 38J. And let's go back to green. Mark Pleuer is out front. He drops the hammer. The green flag is now out, and the question is, can he hang on to it against Bobby Gutnick in the 10 car that's really put on a good charge, and he is on the high side. Bobby is on the high side, Mark Pleuer on the low side, and the 5 of Bill Pritzel is just behind them. And I'll tell you what, they better watch out for the 5 car. Bill Pritzel is a 3-time champ in this series. Look at the green and orange number 5. He won the series championship in 2000. He won it again in 2003. He looked for it again in 2005, took home his 3rd championship trophy, and now he's got his sights set on second place with just a few laps to go. Now look at the green number 5. That is Bill Pritzel dropping down to the inside of Bobby Gutnick in turn number 1, and everybody is chasing the 54 of Mark Pleuer, who really seems pretty comfortable right now. But if Bill Pritzel gets him in his sight, Pritzel is quick everywhere he goes. Now the battle for 11th features a few guys who used to be running up front. Rick Tackman, you can see the damage on the front left of his car. Just inside him, there's some loose bodywork on the right side of the 90. That belongs to Marv Flick. Just ahead of Marv Flick is the bright yellow number 32 of Lyle Nowak. in a very, very full field. We've got 28 cars out here putting on a fantastic show. Just look out the front of this shot right here. Look at the white car on the right side of your screen. That is the number 22 of Jeremy Spoonmore, running for 6th position, challenging for 5th. He is always fast, and he told us what it's like to drive this track and set up for Milwaukee.
Definitely for here, we changed the complete setup. You know, you're going from a little quarter mile to a big 1 mile racetrack. You know, springs, shocks completely changed. Pretty much everything on the car, you know, and you got to go through it, a lot of speed. So we run fairly well on flat racetracks, and it's always fun to get a lot of speed in a race car. So I really enjoy being here.
3 wide for 5th place, and I'll tell you, the top 10 completely jumbled now. Mark Pleuer has taken over the lead from Brian Holtz. Bill Pritzel is up to 2nd place and looking to challenge for the lead. Jeff Holtz is up to 3rd and Brad Keith in 4th. Back at the Milwaukee Mile, just a handful of laps remaining as Lyle Nowak in the number 32 drops down, looking to the inside of the 2 car. That's Kevin Gentile, and he gets high. He gets really high. There's actually contact between the two, so Nowak bumps Gentile very high on the racetrack, and we are running out of laps here. Now let's look back at the stories we wanted to cover. First of all, we have a very green...
Mark Pleuer, congratulations. You fought hard today. How does it feel to win at such a big-time track and in your hometown?
It's awesome today. You know, we struggled a little bit this weekend. I didn't think I had all the speed in the car. The crew made a couple last decisions, threw a new setup at it, and the car was perfect. I wish I could have started it over, but if it ends up like this, I'm happy, very happy.
Now, Mark, tell me, what was your biggest challenge out there? I mean, you obviously fought hard for this win.
Well, the biggest challenge was really, I was kind of worried about some of the guys behind me because they were right on me and it was fast, and the guys up front, they were really dicing it up, switching lanes. Some were loose, some were tight. You know, everybody kept it pretty much straight. It was a good race, and then, you know, my ears up in the spotter stand was telling me I was doing a great job and I had plenty of space. Then it was on cruise control.
Tell me how you're feeling.
Phenomenal. This is great.
Well, congratulations to Mark Pleuer. He has a huge trophy. That's more trophy than there is Mark right there. I want to check in with Bill Pritzel. He's a fantastic road racer. The guy is just fast wherever he goes.
I'm very happy with it. Starting as far back as we did, I didn't think we'd get that close to the front. I'm just happy we finished. We didn't hurt the car, and well, I wanted to win, but we didn't need to wreck it to win. So, congratulations to Mark. I've raced with Mark a lot of years. Good person, and I knew I didn't have to worry about him if I got there, which I never got there. So.
Well, like you said, it wasn't easy getting this kind of finish. What was the secret? I mean, what was your biggest challenge, and how'd you overcome it?
Starting as far back as we did, you had to be a little bit aggressive, but yet you had to watch everybody too. You didn't want to run into anybody. We didn't touch anybody the whole race, which is good. We made a few 3-wide passes, which when you got to run on a car, you have to. And then later on, they tried 3-wide on me, so I guess we did it all day long.
Well, I'm happy to finish. We didn't put a scratch in the car, and we moved from 16th up to 3rd. I mean, so we passed some cars and had some fun, and everything's in one piece. I got to thank my brother's car for racing. I got a great bunch of guys that helped me, great sponsors, Barker's Reconditioning, Greater Milwaukee Auto Auction, with Hank's Craft. We got a lot of great guys that help us, and it's a long weekend, but I'm glad we came home in the top 3.
Tell me how you did it, because at the end there, you had a couple guys coming up pretty close on you.
Probably just knowing when you're going in the corner that fast where the guy next to you is going to be or whatever. You know, if you get chopped off a little bit or you slide up, I mean, you're going so fast, you don't want to lose it and cause a wreck, you know. But it was fun. I mean, I'm ready. I got another race to go here, and I'm excited.
So here's your rundown. Mark Pleuer in first place, Bill Pritzel, Jeff Holtz, Brad Keith, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Jeremy Spoonmore and Eric Buckholtz really worked hard to stay in this thing. Bobby Gutnick drops from 2nd to 7th. Nowak, Vandermeer, and Gentile round out the top 10. Hey, you want to see some incredible driving? Check this out. That's what the Milwaukee Mile looks like at 150 miles an hour. Thanks so much for joining us. More Mid-American Stock Car Series racing coming up very, very soon.